Welcome to The Warp. I'm Jack Rita, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the Cosmic Encounter Alien of the Month for March 2023, and that alien is the Bride. This is the third Alien of the Month that I've done in this series. It's also the third alien I noticed from Cosmic Dominion. I must really like that expansion, and I do. But I promise that next month's Alien of the Month will not be from Cosmic Dominion. I don't know which alien it'll be, but I will go out of my way to make sure it's from another set or even the base game. So let's talk about what the Bride does, why I think it's a great alien, one of my favorites, and I'll tell you some interesting stories about the development of this alien in the Cosmic Dominion expansion. So, the Bride has the power to marry. As a main player, before allies are invited, you may use this power to marry your opponent. That player must choose one of their ships and place it on this sheet. You may be only married to one player at a time. You and your spouse may ally with each other without being invited and may show each other any cards in hands at any time. Once per encounter, you may use this power to allow a trade of one card from each of your hand and your spouse's hand. Now, you may divorce your spouse at any time by turning that player's ship on your sheet upside down and taking half of the cards in their hand at random, rounded down, as alimony. You may not remarry a player you previously divorced, and if the sheet is lost or turned face down, you must divorce your current spouse without receiving alimony. So, this alien is a hoot. I remember the first time I play tested that. It was with my friend John, who I've been playing Cosmic Encounter with since the mid-'80s. And we married fairly early on in the game, and he was the only player I was married to in that particular game, and we were calling each other Pookums and Sweetums, and everybody else was ready to kill us, but we had a great time with it. It was a lot of fun. We were able to really leverage the ability to look at each other's hands, trade cards when we needed them, and we won that game in the play test. And so right away I knew that was great, and that was before it had the ability to divorce and take alimony. So it was already a pretty powerful alien that I thought was really interesting and really effective. And so, yes, the added element of the divorce and alimony makes Bride really formidable, because you can just, especially in a game with a lot of players, is you can just systematically boop, 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 go down the line, marrying players, especially if they have a large hand of cards, and just divorcing them right away to take half of those cards. And in a game with the reward deck, you can do especially well if people have picked up a lot of rewards. The risk of getting a rift notwithstanding, it's usually worth it because you are probably still going to come out ahead with a lot of really useful and powerful cards that can help you win the game solo. So that is the real reason to do the divorcing for the alimony with Bride, is if you're intending to go for it solo. Or maybe you're going to work your way up to marrying the player most likely to win the game at the end, so that you can take your dowry of all the things that you've collected, bring those to your final marriage, and then say, yeah, we can leverage this amazing hand of cards and then sweep into victory, and then have a wonderful honeymoon somewhere out in the cosmos. So Bride, a lot of fun. It's one of those aliens that also lends itself to a certain level of role playing. Sniveler is probably the most famous role playing alien in Cosmic Encounter. Everyone who plays Sniveler, they can't help but start speaking in a really whining voice when they're talking about what it is that they need or where they're falling behind. And Bride, as I mentioned earlier, I think also falls into that category. So Bride was an alien that was kind of handed to us during the development of Cosmic Dominion. Now, Cosmic Dominion's development went through two distinct and very different phases. It was announced as a fan expansion pretty early on, mostly on Facebook, with some discussion on Board Game Geek. But in the beginning, it was something that Peter Alaka and Bill Eberly were spearheading themselves and doing a lot of the development work on Facebook and letting people just chime in and throw ideas and get things together. And during the Facebook development, it was a little bit chaotic because Facebook is not the greatest tool for collaboration, in my opinion. And there were a lot of ideas that were put up there, and Peter and Bill just assumed, like, great, we're going with it. So you had Alien like the Mart that some players thought was definitely going to be in there, and to the point where Fantasy Flight had commissioned art for the Mart, and that art ended up being Ace, which when we moved into Phase 2, which is where me and Bill Martinson and Jefferson Crow were formally put in charge of the expansion, and Bill Elberly and Peter Laka took more of a backseat. Mart was no longer really in consideration, especially as we involved a broader mix of fans into the development process. It was the sort of thing where other aliens and other ideas from the fan base pushed Mart down, and other aliens like that. And the mix that we ended up getting rose mostly to the top. But as I said, it was handed to us because Peter Laka's granddaughters had designed a couple of aliens, and Peter was pretty insistent that we make sure that they were in the mix. And it wasn't the sort of thing where we pushed back on it at all. We're like, sure, we're gonna make this work. Whirligig was one of those aliens, and we were fine with it. It's a silly effect, but it was fun, and it was different enough from some other aliens that do a little bit of the same thing. Dervish being maybe one of them, but we were fine with that. But the other one was an alien called the Gown, and it was Peter's granddaughter Lila that had come up with the Gown, and I believe it was because she had recently attended a wedding, and the focus on the bride's gown at the wedding left an impression with her. So I have here a printout of an early edition of what the Gown was and how it worked. So the Gown shares commitments, and you put 10 cosmic tokens on the Gown's sheet as marriage contracts. So you have the power to marry. As a main player, you may marry your opponent by placing a cosmic token on their sheet. You may be married to one player at a time. Spouses share a commitment to do what their spouse wants as long as their marriage is in effect. Each spouse may invoke one commitment during each game encounter. A commitment must be completed during the encounter when it was invoked. A term of endearment is suggested when addressing the spouse. So that, I'll get back to that. Commitments, alliance directions, card transfers, hand information, card play, ship selection, ship placement, hyperspace gate placement, turn continuation, unspoken commitments such as handing your spouse any number of cards or showing your spouse the card you're going to play. Spouses may agree upon cards when they're both main players. You may divorce your spouse at any time by removing the cosmic token and saying this was not meant to be. Then you may immediately divorce your spouse if you've just invoked a commitment which you don't like, and some other stuff on there. I remember very distinctly that Bill Martinson was not a fan of the Gown initially, and I think part of it was just the idea of a space dress floating through the cosmos, marrying people. It was not a concept that he could get behind. So early on I said, well, I think the clear thing here is that we don't have it be the Gown, we have it be the bride, and it can still be the power to marry. And I said we need to just really clean up what it is that the bride and their spouse can do and how that works. And that ended up being really the first part of the alien power, where you have a ship. It's on there because Bill pointed out right away, it was like, you can't put a cosmic token on there. That's not going to work. There's already aliens that have cosmic tokens. How will a warrior know if they're married or not married? And but the capturing of the ship also felt a little bit more thematic to Bride. So we went through that, and we were pretty happy with Bride, and then it went off to the beta testers, and they're the ones that insisted on the alimony. And I think we thought about it for about a full minute and then said, sure, it seems fine. It's going to really boost the power level of Bride, but it is very thematic. People are going to think it's hilarious, except for the ones that are being given their pink slip. But we were like, go for it. And I think in the end, in the long run, it is a good addition. The beta testers were right. And I'm happy to see it on there. And it is one of the reasons why it is the Alien of the Month. It is a great thing. I try not to abuse that. I've been married twice in real life, and so I know what it's been like to be on the receiving end of a divorce. So I feel like, all right, I'm not going to abuse that clause in the alien power unless I really do feel like it's not working out with my spouse in the game. The art is another interesting story. This art is great for Bride. It was not commissioned for Bride. We had to assign it. It was actually commissioned to be Lloyd. This was originally Lloyd. How was Lloyd? So Lloyd was one of those aliens that just kind of got mentioned in the early Facebook development days of Cosmic Dominion. And so somewhere along the way, Fantasy Flight was like, sure, Lloyd, great, we're going to go ahead and do that art. And that was true of a lot of the aliens. So the three designers on Cosmic Dominion did not realize that Fantasy Flight was busy creating art for a list of aliens that we had not yet provided them. But it was because at some point they were like, we need to know what aliens are going to be in the set. And they were either given a list of, yeah, here's what we're currently working on, which was a lot of aliens that did not make it into that set. And I have a Cosmic Dominion behind the scenes video, and the link is in the description there, where you can get some more information about how the artwork was not supposed to go where it was and why. There does seem to be a little bit of a disconnect with some of the art and the aliens in there. We did the best we could because we didn't want to get rid of some of the aliens that had gone through a long process of being developed, and we didn't have the time. They already had the art ready to go. They were ready to publish that expansion, so we did what we could. But Bride is a great alien. If you have played with the Bride or had the Bride in a game with you, let me know what your thoughts are on that. Do you like the Bride? Do you think it's a fun alien? And are you glad that it's part of Cosmic Dominion? I certainly am. It's one of my favorite aliens in that set. It's in the top 3 for sure. And but overall, I love this alien. I think the art does work out really well. I mean, it works great for the gown as well. It's really a remarkable piece of artwork, and it has a nice little Easter egg that I'm sure some players pick up on right away. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.